They say fear is a powerful thing. It can paralyze you, make you doubt yourself, make you shrink back from what's already yours. But let me tell you something. Fear is just a figment of your imagination. It's a liar. It'll have you standing at the edge of greatness and whisper in your ear that you're not enough, that you're not ready. But here's the truth: you are enough. You are ready. You've been ready. Fear, it's not the enemy, it's just an obstacle. And obstacles, they're meant to be overcome. If you let fear dictate your life, you'll never know what's on the other side of that wall. You might be standing in front of the door, but only courage, my friends, has the key to open it. So the question is, are you going to let fear hold the key to your future, or are you ready to take it back? Fear is an incredibly powerful force that can influence every aspect of our lives if we let it. It has the ability to sneak into our minds and magnify our insecurities, making us believe that we're not capable of achieving what we truly desire. It can paralyze us, stopping us from taking even the first step toward our goals. Fear distorts reality, making obstacles seem bigger than they really are, and challenges appear insurmountable. It holds us back, creating invisible chains that keep us stuck in the comfort of the familiar, where there is no growth. This power of fear can dominate our thoughts, fill us with anxiety, and make us doubt every decision. In many ways, it can control our actions or lack of action by keeping us in a cycle of hesitation and second-guessing. It taps into the deepest parts of us, feeding off our vulnerabilities and telling us lies about who we are and what we're capable of. When fear takes root, it dims our sense of possibility, making what could be a bright future seem like a distant dream, always out of reach. Fear has a cunning way of distorting the truth, often making us believe we're not good enough, not talented enough, not ready to take on the challenges that lie ahead. It whispers doubts into our minds, amplifying our insecurities until they feel like undeniable facts. We might look at a goal or a dream and think, I don't have what it takes, or I'm not prepared for this, when in reality, we already possess the skills, the talent, and the strength to succeed. Fear tells us we need to be perfect before we can begin, that we need to have every step planned out and every outcome guaranteed. It convinces us that unless we're 100% certain, we shouldn't move forward. But this is one of fear's biggest lies. It makes us believe we need to wait until we feel completely ready, which often means waiting forever. Fear thrives on this uncertainty, keeping us stuck in a loop of overthinking and procrastination. It blinds us to the progress we've already made, the experiences we've already gained, and the growth we've already achieved. Instead of seeing how far we've come, we focus on what we still lack, on all the ways things could go wrong. And that fear of failure, of rejection, or of making mistakes becomes so overwhelming that we convince ourselves it's safer to do nothing than to risk falling short. But here's the thing, nobody is ever 100% ready. There will always be unknowns, risks, and challenges. Waiting for perfection or absolute certainty is fear's way of keeping us in our comfort zone, away from the opportunities that could change our lives. Fear creates the illusion that we're not enough when, in fact, we've had everything we need all along. It tricks us into thinking that readiness is about having no doubts, when in reality, readiness is about having the courage to face those doubts head on. The truth is, deep down, you are enough. You've always been enough. What happens is, fear convinces you to ignore the strengths, talents, and abilities that you already possess. It makes you focus on your flaws, your mistakes, and your shortcomings, but what fear doesn't want you to realize is that you've been preparing for this moment your entire life. Every challenge you faced, every obstacle you've overcome, and every failure you've bounced back from has made you stronger, wiser, and more capable than you may even recognize. The experiences you've gathered, the lessons you've learned, and the skills you've developed are all part of what makes you ready for the opportunities ahead. Fear wants you to believe that there's always something missing, that you need to wait until you're more accomplished, more confident, or more knowledgeable before you can step into your destiny. But here's the reality: you are already equipped with everything you need. You may not feel it, but feeling ready and being ready are two very different things. You've been shaped by your journey, and it's in the very process of facing challenges that you become even more prepared. Often we overlook our own growth because we're so focused on where we want to be. But if you pause for a moment and reflect on how far you've come, you'll see that you are much more capable than fear gives you credit for. Every person who has achieved greatness didn't wait until they had all the answers. They stepped out, often feeling unprepared, but trusting in the strength they had built along the way. And that's what you need to understand. You've already done the work, you've put in the time, and even if you don't have it all figured out, you have the resilience and the drive to figure it out as you go. The feeling of being enough comes not from some external validation, but from realizing that within you is the capacity to rise to any occasion, to learn, adapt, and grow in the face of whatever comes your way. It's not about perfection, it's about believing in your own worth, in your ability to succeed despite the doubts and fears. You are enough right now as you are. It's time to embrace that truth and move forward with the confidence that you've always been ready for this. Fear isn't really the enemy, though it might feel that way. It's not some monstrous force trying to destroy you or keep you from success. It's just an obstacle, something standing in your path that needs to be confronted. And here's the key: obstacles aren't permanent. They aren't immovable. They are challenges that can be worked through, pushed aside, or climbed over. Fear, when you really look at it, is just an emotional reaction to the unknown, to risk, to uncertainty. But it's not this all-powerful force we sometimes make it out to be. It's not unbeatable. In fact, fear can be understood, tamed, and even used to your advantage if you learn to see it for what it is: a temporary barrier, not a permanent block. What's crucial to realize is that fear will always exist in some form whenever we're about to do something meaningful, something that stretches us or pushes us out of our comfort zone. It's a natural part of life. Anytime you step into new territory, your mind sends out warning signals, asking you to stay safe, to avoid risks. But that's fear's basic function, to protect you from danger. The problem is, it can't tell the difference between real danger and growth opportunities. So while fear is trying to keep you from what it sees as harm, it's really just keeping you from progress. Think about it like this: if you see fear as an enemy, it gains more power over you because you start to see it as something you need to defeat or avoid at all costs. But if you see fear as an obstacle, it becomes something you can navigate, something you can work with. Obstacles can be studied, broken down, and ultimately overcome. Fear is just a mental construct, a barrier your mind creates in response to new situations. It's not a force that can stop you unless you let it. Understanding this allows you to shift your relationship with fear. Instead of being afraid of feeling fear, you can start to see it as a sign that you're moving towards something important. Fear only shows up when we care deeply about something, or when we're about to face a moment of growth. So the next time fear rises, don't shrink away from it. Recognize it for what it is: an obstacle that you have the power to overcome. And once you do that, fear loses its grip on you. It becomes just another challenge in the journey toward your goals, something that can be worked through with determination and courage. Obstacles are meant to be faced and overcome. That's their purpose. Life isn't supposed to be smooth sailing all the time. The challenges we encounter are there to test us, to help us grow, and to push us to levels we never thought we could reach. Fear is just one of those obstacles. It shows up in our path not to stop us, but to give us the opportunity to rise above it, to show ourselves what we're truly capable of. Every time you face a fear and push through it, you gain strength, resilience, and confidence. It's like a muscle. Every time you overcome an obstacle, that muscle gets stronger, preparing you for the next challenge that comes your way. Obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. They force you to think differently, to adapt, and to dig deep into your resources. Fear, when you confront it, transforms from something that holds you back into something that propels you forward. You start to realize that fear is just a temporary hurdle, not a permanent wall. And once you face it head on, you often find that the fear was exaggerated in your mind. The obstacle may have seemed huge from a distance, but once you start working through it, you discover it's not as insurmountable as you thought. Overcoming fear, or any obstacle, is part of the human experience. It's how we evolve, both as individuals and as a society. Think of every great achievement in history, whether it's a groundbreaking scientific discovery, a life-saving medical advancement, or even a personal triumph like learning a new skill or achieving a lifelong dream. Behind every one of those achievements is a story of fear, doubt, and obstacles. And in each case, the people involved didn't let those obstacles stop them. They used them as fuel to keep going, to push harder, to strive for more. When you embrace the idea that obstacles are meant to be overcome, fear loses its power over you. You stop seeing fear as a dead end and start viewing it as a challenge that's actually there to serve you. It's there to make you stronger, smarter, more capable. And the more obstacles you face, the more you learn about yourself, about your ability to persevere, to problem solve, and to triumph even in the face of adversity. Each fear you overcome builds a foundation of courage that will support you in future challenges. You start to realize that you don't need to fear the obstacles themselves. You can trust in your own ability to rise above them. So when fear comes into your life, it's not a sign that you should stop or turn back. It's a sign that you're on the right path, moving towards something important. Obstacles like fear are meant to be temporary. They are there to teach you, to stretch you, and to help you discover just how powerful you really are. Overcoming them is not just about achieving your goals, it's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to be stopped by fear, who embraces challenges as opportunities to grow, and who always pushes forward, no matter how big the obstacle may seem at first. When you let fear control your life, it can quietly rob you of the chance to reach your full potential. Fear, if left unchecked, has a subtle way of keeping you stuck in a loop, holding you back from taking risks or stepping into new, exciting possibilities. It convinces you that the unknown is too dangerous, that failure is something to avoid at all costs, and that staying in your comfort zone is the only safe option. But the problem is, staying in that comfort zone means staying stagnant. It means missing out on opportunities for growth, for success, and for transformation. Fear creates invisible barriers around you, limiting what you believe you're capable of achieving. It tells you stories of what could go wrong, painting a picture of worst-case scenarios that rarely ever happen. But those stories are powerful enough to keep you from even trying. Fear plants seeds of doubt, making you question whether you're good enough or ready enough to chase your dreams. And because of that, you start to play small, shrinking your ambitions to fit within the boundaries that fear has drawn for you. When you allow fear to dictate your decisions, you're essentially letting it write the script for your life. Instead of being the main actor, you become a passive bystander, reacting to life's challenges instead of proactively chasing after what you want. You end up making choices based on avoiding discomfort rather than seeking fulfillment. And what happens? You stay in the same place, watching others who took the leap move forward while you're left wondering what could have been. The irony is that the fear of failure often leads to the very thing you're trying to avoid: regret. By not taking action, by not pursuing the opportunities that scare you, you end up living a life filled with what-ifs. What if you had gone after that job? What if you had started that business? What if you had put yourself out there and embraced the unknown? Fear stops you from finding out the answers to those questions. It keeps you locked in a cycle of self-preservation, but in doing so, it prevents you from experiencing the richness and fullness of life. It's important to recognize that fear's control over your life is not absolute. It only has the power you give it. By constantly yielding to fear, you're essentially handing over control of your future, allowing it to shape your path rather than taking control of your own destiny. But here's the truth: the only way to break free from that cycle is to take action despite the fear. Every time you confront your fears, even in small ways, you chip away at their power over you. You start to see that fear as just a shadow, something that looks intimidating from a distance but fades away once you shine the light of action on it. Living in fear isn't really living, it's existing within the narrow limits of safety and security. While comfort may feel safe, it doesn't offer the kind of growth, excitement, or fulfillment that comes from taking risks and facing challenges. The life you're meant to live, the dreams you're meant to achieve, are waiting for you on the other side of fear. But you'll never reach them if you allow fear to keep you locked in place. The truth is, fear is inevitable, everyone feels it. But it's not meant to be a permanent state. It's a signal that you're on the edge of something significant, something that has the potential to change your life for the better. You can either let fear hold you back, keeping you from your dreams, or you can push through it and see what's possible when you refuse to let it control you. The moment you decide to take action, no matter how small, is the moment you take back your power. You'll discover that fear isn't as formidable as it seems. It only has as much control as you give it. And once you stop letting fear run the show, you open the door to endless possibilities and the chance to become the person you've always had the potential to be. Courage is the key to unlocking the future that fear tries to keep hidden from you. It's the force that allows you to move forward when everything inside you is telling you to stop, to turn back, to stay where it's safe. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear, it means you feel it, but you choose to act anyway. It's what separates those who live life on their terms from those who let life happen to them. The opportunities, dreams, and success that seem out of reach aren't blocked by the world around you, they're blocked by the fears within you. And only courage can push through those barriers and open the door to what's possible. Courage is what allows you to take the first step, even when the path ahead is unclear. Often, fear tricks you into thinking that you need to have everything perfectly planned out before you begin. But the truth is, you don't need to see the whole staircase, you just need to take that first step. Courage gives you the strength to move forward in uncertainty, to trust that you will figure things out as you go. It's the belief that no matter what challenges come your way, you have the capacity to adapt, to learn, and to grow through the experience. With courage, you don't need to wait for the fear to disappear. Instead, you walk alongside it, knowing that every step you take weakens its hold over you. Courage isn't about being fearless, it's about choosing progress over comfort. It's about deciding that the potential rewards on the other side of fear are worth more than the temporary safety of staying where you are. Imagine all the things you've wanted to do, all the goals you've set for yourself, but haven't pursued because fear stood in the way. Now imagine how different your life could be if you let courage, not fear, guide your choices. Courage says, I may not have all the answers, but I'm willing to find them. It's what drives you to step into new opportunities, even when you feel underprepared. Because the truth is, you're never going to feel 100% ready. Courage steps in when fear tries to convince you that readiness is about certainty. What's more, courage is contagious. When you start to act courageously in one area of your life, it spills over into others. The moment you take that first brave step, whether it's applying for a job, starting a new project, or simply speaking up for yourself, you build momentum. That momentum grows with each subsequent act of courage, and soon you find yourself facing fears that once seemed overwhelming with newfound confidence. Every time you choose courage over fear, you strengthen your ability to tackle bigger and bolder challenges. But here's something crucial: courage doesn't erase fear, it transforms it. Fear, at its core, is energy. It's your body's way of telling you that something important is at stake. Courage takes that energy and redirects it toward action. Instead of letting fear paralyze you, courage uses it to fuel your drive forward. Think about the people you admire. The leaders, innovators, and everyday heroes who seem unshaken by adversity. They're not immune to fear. They've just learned to harness it, to let courage guide their actions, even when the outcome is uncertain. Courage also creates a shift in mindset. When you operate from a place of courage, you start to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for growth. You begin to understand that failure isn't the end, but a stepping stone on the path to success. You realize that every setback, every obstacle is a chance to learn and become stronger. With courage, you stop fearing failure and start embracing it as part of the journey. You recognize that the only real failure is never trying at all. Ultimately, courage is what turns dreams into reality. Without it, fear will keep you on the sidelines, watching as life passes you by. But with courage, you become an active participant in your own story. You take control of your future, no longer waiting for the right time or the perfect conditions to act. You start to see that the key to achieving your goals isn't waiting for the fear to go away, it's choosing courage over and over again. Every time fear shows up, courage opens doors, it creates opportunities, and it unlocks potential that you didn't even know was within you. It's the key that fear tries to hide, but once you find it, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Standing on the edge of greatness is one of the most exhilarating yet terrifying experiences you can have. It's that moment when you're so close to something big, something life-changing, but at the same time, fear creeps in and tries to pull you back. It whispers all the reasons why you shouldn't take that next step, the risks, the uncertainties, the potential for failure. But here's the thing: when you're at the edge of greatness, fear always shows up. It's almost a guarantee. And that's because fear thrives in moments of possibility. In those instances where your life is about to shift in significant ways. Fear isn't there because you're unprepared, it's there because you're about to break through into something new. Being on the edge of greatness means you're on the brink of achieving something that matters. Something that could elevate your life, your career, your relationships, or your personal growth to a whole new level. But fear will always try to convince you that you're not ready for that leap. It wants you to stay in the safe zone, where everything is predictable and comfortable. The problem is, staying in that comfort zone means you'll never experience the extraordinary. You'll never know what it feels like to accomplish something truly great. Because greatness requires risk. It requires stepping into the unknown, even when you're not 100% sure of the outcome. What many people don't realize is that the fear you feel when you're on the edge of greatness is actually a sign that you're headed in the right direction. It's a signal that you're about to do something that will stretch you, that will challenge you, and that will ultimately transform you. Fear shows up because you're on the cusp of growth, and growth is always a little uncomfortable. But discomfort is not a reason to turn back. In fact, it's a reason to lean in. That discomfort, that fear, is the price of admission for stepping into your full potential. Think about it. If greatness were easy, everyone would achieve it. But greatness requires courage, and courage doesn't come without fear. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who don't is simple. Those who succeed don't let fear stop them. They feel the fear, they acknowledge it, but they take the leap anyway. They understand that fear is part of the process, not a reason to abandon the journey. When you're standing on the edge of greatness, fear tries to magnify all the ways things could go wrong. But what if, instead, you focus on all the ways things could go right? Imagine what could happen if you took that leap. Imagine the possibilities that lie on the other side of fear. You might discover talents you didn't know you had, opportunities you didn't know existed, and strengths that have been waiting for the right moment to emerge. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, happens because someone chose to push past their fear and step into the unknown. And once you take that leap, you start to realize that the fear was an illusion. The obstacle you thought was insurmountable begins to crumble as soon as you take action. Standing on the edge of greatness is like standing at the door of a new chapter in your life. The door is right in front of you, but only you can open it. And fear is just the lock. But here's the secret: courage is the key. The door won't open on its own, and waiting for the fear to disappear won't work either. You have to unlock it by taking action, by stepping forward, even when you don't have all the answers. This is where most people stop. They see the door, they feel the fear, and they convince themselves that they're not ready. They tell themselves that someday, when they feel more confident or when the timing is better, they'll take the leap. But someday often turns into never. And that's the tragedy of fear. It keeps people on the edge of greatness, but never lets them fully experience it. But you don't have to stay stuck on the edge. You can make the decision to trust in your own ability to handle whatever comes your way. You can choose to focus not on the fear, but on the potential for greatness that lies ahead. The truth is, the edge is exactly where you need to be if you want to grow. It's the place where transformation happens, where breakthroughs occur, and where you discover just how capable you truly are. So, when you find yourself standing on the edge of greatness, don't retreat. Don't let fear convince you that you're not ready. You've been preparing for this moment your entire life, whether you realize it or not. Everything you've been through, every challenge you faced, has led you to this point. And now, the only thing standing between you and greatness is that leap of faith. Trust yourself, embrace the fear, and step forward. The edge is not the end, it's the beginning of something extraordinary. Letting go of the fear of failure is one of the most liberating things you can do. Failure, contrary to what many believe, is not the end of the road, it's merely a part of the journey. Every successful person you admire has encountered failure at some point. They didn't let it define them, they let it teach them. When you release the fear of failure, you free yourself from the shackles that hold you back. You start to see failure not as something to be feared, but as an opportunity for growth and learning. Embracing failure means understanding that it's not a reflection of your worth or ability. It's simply feedback. It tells you what didn't work so you can adjust and try again. This mindset shift allows you to take risks, knowing that even if you stumble, you can rise again with newfound wisdom. Failure is part of taking action, and it's through those actions that you gain experience and resilience. The fear of failure often prevents people from trying new things, leading to regret and a life filled with what-ifs. But when you embrace failure, you open yourself up to new experiences, ideas, and pathways that you might never have considered. You learn to appreciate the journey, understanding that each misstep brings you one step closer to your goals. Ultimately, letting go of the fear of failure means unlocking your potential and allowing yourself to pursue your dreams without reservation. It's about transforming your relationship with failure into one of empowerment and growth. Taking action is the most powerful antidote to fear. When faced with fear, the natural tendency is often to freeze, overthink, or avoid the situation altogether. But inaction only fuels fear, allowing it to grow stronger in your mind. On the other hand, when you take action, no matter how small, you disrupt that cycle. Action creates momentum. It propels you forward and diminishes the power fear has over you. By choosing to act, you send a message to yourself and to the world that you refuse to be held back by fear. Taking action can take many forms. It doesn't always have to be a grand gesture or a life-altering decision. Sometimes it's as simple as making a phone call, sending an email, or stepping into a conversation that you've been dreading. Each step you take, however small, is a statement of courage. You start to build confidence, and with that confidence comes clarity. The more you act, the more you learn about yourself and your capabilities. Each action gives you valuable insights and helps you refine your approach, allowing you to tackle larger challenges with increased ease. Moreover, taking action leads to results. When you put yourself out there, you begin to see progress. You gain feedback that helps you make informed decisions. This feedback loop is essential. It transforms fear from an overwhelming force into a manageable experience. Instead of focusing on the fear itself, your attention shifts to the results of your actions, what worked, what didn't, and what you can do differently next time. This process reduces anxiety and replaces it with a sense of empowerment. Fear often exaggerates potential outcomes, creating a narrative in your mind that can feel daunting. But when you take action, you confront that narrative with reality. The act of doing forces you to face your fears directly, revealing that the outcomes you feared were often not as bad as anticipated. You start to see that fear is largely a construct of your imagination, and by stepping outside of that mindset, you gain a more realistic perspective on your capabilities. Finally, taking action creates a ripple effect. It not only impacts your life, but can also inspire those around you. When people see you taking bold steps despite your fears, it encourages them to do the same. Your actions can become a source of motivation for others, demonstrating that fear doesn't have to be a barrier to success. It fosters a community of courage where individuals support one another in facing their own fears and taking action toward their goals. In summary, taking action is not just about overcoming fear, it's about embracing growth, learning, and resilience. It's about recognizing that fear will always be a part of the journey, but it doesn't have to dictate your path. By choosing to act, you reclaim your power and open the door to new possibilities. Each step you take builds a foundation of confidence that prepares you for even greater challenges ahead. Remember, action is the bridge between fear and achievement. So step forward, take that leap, and watch as fear begins to fade in the wake of your courage and determination. As we draw this journey to a close, remember that fear is not a wall that blocks your path, it's a stepping stone that can elevate you to new heights. Every moment of fear is an opportunity, an invitation to step outside your comfort zone and into the realm of possibility. Embracing fear as a natural part of the human experience can transform your life in ways you never imagined. Each time you confront your fears, you strengthen your resolve, develop your courage, and build a future that reflects your true potential. So I urge you, don't let fear define you or limit your dreams. Let it be a catalyst for growth. As you move forward, carry with you the knowledge that greatness lies just beyond the edge of fear. Dare to take those steps, no matter how small. When you act, when you push past the discomfort, you'll find not only the life you desire, but also the strength and resilience that have always resided within you. In this life, you have the power to create your own narrative, to author your own success story. Let fear be a chapter, not the entire book. Stand tall, be bold, and know that you have the courage to face whatever lies ahead. Each challenge you overcome will only serve to illuminate the path toward the extraordinary life that awaits you. So go forth, step into your power, and remember, the only limits that exist are the ones you place upon yourself. Thank you.